Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. We have Sam Josie here again. Where you been?
I know it's been, last week I was out of town and then I had some car issues that were not. If there was a skill, there were two skills in life I wish I had.
I have a particular set of skills.
Yeah, I don't have either of these. I wish I knew IT stuff and I wish I knew cars.
When I was in high school, I thought if it wasn't anything to do with basketball, I just thought it was lame.
Yeah.
And I regret that. I don't know anything. I don't know how to do taxes. I don't know how to fix anything on a car.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. So
Did you go to where you went to Disneyland?
Went to Disneyland with the fam. It was great. So that had me miss the 1 week, and then we got back. I was planning to be here for the last episode, and then just car issues got me. And I don't do well with car issues, so. Yeah, but I'm back. I'm here. We're ready to roll.
Okay, this episode is brought. Hold on. How many churros? How much are churros?
Churros are not cheap. They're $5 and $5.75 if you get them from a certain stand with blue sprinkles. I guess blue cinnamon.
You're just like, your alter ego comes out at Disneyland because you're like the cheapest guy I know.
Right.
But then for some reason you walk into that park and you are wheeling and dealing.
Do you want to know why though?
It's crazy. After every ride, churro, pop, like something.
But the reason is because like whatever, I don't even know what credit card we have, but the rewards we get for using it, we can cash in for Disney gift cards. So if we know we're going to Disneyland, we'll save all our points and cash them in for gift cards. And then it's like, I got to spend the gift card. 4 churros, please. 4 churros, those $30.
Did you use the dwarfism at all to your advantage, like Fast Pass or anything? Or no?
Yeah, I definitely did. It was not too crowded on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday was slammed. And so the pass really came in handy.
And you just get front of the line. They let you take the whole family up there or what?
I can take I think 6 people with me.
Wow.
Yeah. But not the front. They just let
sometimes
you in like the fast
it pays off,
yeah,
right? There's blessings with the dwarfism.
Yeah.
Why not ever get a handicap parking thing?
I think
why not do that?
I think I could.
Oh, you definitely
I've never brought it up to my doctor. I think height wise, you have to be 5 feet tall. But I think I could say hey, I'm over 5 feet, but I have dwarfism.
How tall are you?
5'1". So it's not like I'm 5'6".
So I'm
right there.
You wouldn't.
But I think there's a lot of paperwork and stuff that goes with it, and you got to prove a lot of stuff. And
I remember middle school and high school, we just go to $5 pizza, and you just show them your hands, and they just give us breadsticks.
Yeah. That was
all right. Here we go. Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Kevin. This guy named Kevin. He does. Oh man, I think it's called Battle Tested. He sent me some really cool T-shirts. And then he wrote me this, and so I'm going to read it. I think it's pretty cool. Dear Mason, when I came across your story, I felt many different things. First, I felt how sorry I was that you and your family went through something so horrible. Thanks, Kevin. I also felt sad and was reminded of the loved ones I have lost suddenly in car accidents. My first experience with this was losing my high school girlfriend back in 2004. My next experience was when we lost my father the same way in 2013. Up until rather recently, my entire life seemed to feel like recovery that I continually had to restart. I struggled heavily for a long time with anxiety and depression. I remember each day just waiting for the next shoe to drop and the next bad thing to happen. The truth is, Mason, I don't know why things like what happened to you happen, and I don't know if we will ever know. What I do know is that I am not a victim. I used to think that way, and I could not go on living if I were to keep carrying that mentality. The hardest part about losing people we love is that it challenges our reality and what we know. Those people are part of our identity and our purpose. Having them is how we feel safe and make sense of a chaotic world. I heard you say on a podcast one time that you went through a period of not wanting to live and not wanting to die. I thought that was very relatable and was described perfectly. However, even though you felt that way, you chose life. I don't know specifically what you believe, but based on my beliefs, life comes with a responsibility. You see, right now, you and I are very much still alive. as long as we live, we can choose to honor the ones who are no longer here to tell their story. Sometimes I think about what life would have been like had those people we loved and cherished so much never left. I can't say that life would have been better because I don't honestly know. What I can say is it would look different. Mason, I believe that throughout your experiences, I've no doubt that there is great purpose for your life to lead and inspire others. You've gone through a transformation. Every story that has a hero, there is a compelling event that transforms them into that hero. I think we'll just call it there. He says, I'm here if you ever need me. Until then, keep fighting and stay battle tested. From one warrior to another. Kevin.
Life 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it.
Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. I'm Sam Josie here with Mason Sawyer, and it's been a minute since we've reunited, and it's good. We touched on that a minute ago, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back with my boys here.
I missed you, man.
Yeah, I missed you. I'm excited to be here. Excited to do the podcast. You'd messaged me the other day with some ideas for today's episode. Sent me some clips to watch.
Did you watch them?
Yeah, I'd seen one of them before, and it might have been from when me and you previously chatted about it like several months ago.
Was it the
zebra one?
The zebra one?
It might have been from like either I saw it at work, but I'm pretty sure it was through you that me and you watched a while ago. But the other one I hadn't seen. I liked it. So I'm excited for today's episode. I think there's some good stuff with it.
So let's talk about the monkey one.
Yeah.
So I used to be a high school psychology teacher, and when we'd get to our unit on social psychology,
Okay.
I'd always use this story as like a introduction to kind of get their attention, at least make it somewhat entertaining. And so there's a story. There's this experimenter guy, and he puts 5 monkeys in a cage, and he puts a banana at like on the ceiling or something, like way high up.
Okay.
And there's a ladder that leads to this banana. So there's 5 monkeys chilling, and eventually they get hungry. So one of them starts to climb to get this banana, and then the experimenter guy sprays him with cold water, and then sprays all the other monkeys with cold water. And then, if I remember it right, a little bit of time goes by, same thing happens. They all get sprayed. Right. So they stop going for the banana. And then the experimenter takes a monkey out, puts a brand new monkey in, never been sprayed with water. A couple minutes go by or whatever, and that monkey gets hungry, so he starts going for the bananas. And what happens?
And they beat the monkey. The remaining monkeys that have been sprayed beat the new monkey. Yeah,
so they drag him down. They just beat the shit out of him. And then the experimenter takes out a monkey that's been sprayed, puts in another one. A couple minutes go by, that new one climbs up. All the monkeys pull him down, beat him up. And he keeps exchanging them. And so now the experimenter has 5 monkeys in this cage that have never been sprayed with water. And none of them ever go for the bananas. And they don't even really know why, because none of them have been sprayed with the water.
Right.
All they know is we don't go for the bananas.
Yep. This is what you do. You go for the banana, you beat the monkey up. So they do what the group does.
I heard another one from my mom one time that it's like the same story, but there was this lady that was cooking a ham for like Christmas dinner. Okay. And she cut off both ends to cook the ham. And her daughter was like, well, why do you cut off both ends of the ham before you cook it? And she's like, I don't know. It's just a family recipe. Let me call my mom and ask. So she calls her mom, who's been doing it her whole life. And
right.
She's like, Mom, why'd you cut off the ends of the ham? And she's like, you know what?
I don't
know. Let me call if she's still alive. I don't know. I think this is how it goes though. So she calls like the great grandma.
Right.
She's like, Mom, like what the hell? Like, why'd you cut off both the hams? And she's like, well, my oven was so small it wouldn't fit, so I had to cut off both ends of the ham to get it in the oven. And it's the same thing. Like, we don't even know why we're doing it. We're just like these blind sheep following the herd, and we just get lost in it sometimes.
Yeah. No, I think it's easy to just, it's what you do. Like, I don't know. It happens at, like, I've experienced it at work. I've experienced it like with friends, like family members. They like will say something like, oh, you need to do this, or you got to do this. And whether it's a confidence issue or like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like someone could like cars. You could tell me anything about my car and be like, okay, sounds good. And like, I don't know.
You need a new Johnson rod.
Yeah. And so, but like it happens. And then like oftentimes it comes back where they're like, no, that's not right. Why did you do that? It's like, oh, well, I did it because so-and-so said to do it. Like, well, so-and-so doesn't know. Why would you do what they said?
Sam, let me ask you this. Why are you a BYU fan?
So it originated from my dad being like I grew up, my dad was a sports guy.
So he cut off both ends of the ham, and you're like, well, I'm going to cut off both ends of the ham. I'm liking BYU.
Yeah. And I think that's where it started.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Sure. I mean, and when it comes to sports, I almost say that's kind of where it all started. Like how did you get your favorite teams? Or how did you become interested in basketball? Did you just wake up, or did like you had a brother, your dad or whoever introduced you like, hey, this sport's great, start playing.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're playing basketball.
I think it's like with food. I think it's with a lot of things, dude.
Yeah.
And then I was reading, I think it was like Pew Research type stuff. They did this study on religion. And I think they had all the religions, but if both parents of the household were of the same religious faith, for Protestants, 73% of people raised with two Protestant parents would stay Protestant, 73%. And then Catholics was like a little lower, 63%. But what's interesting, if you had two parents with different religions, different religious faiths, that number dropped a lot from like 73%. Like it dropped a lot, like significantly. But I'm just saying, I think it goes for religion too, obviously. But here's the thing, though. Because I used that story for a long time, as a teacher, and then one year I'm studying it, and I kind of go in more depth of it than I usually do.
Okay.
And I don't know if it ever even really happened. I'm pretty sure it was made up.
The story?
Yeah, the 5 monkeys.
When I was like watching it, I was thinking like, oh, that's unfortunate. They're just getting hosed down.
Oh, that's nothing compared to some of the experiments they'd used to do on animals, but I'm pretty sure it was completely made up, dude.
Right.
Okay, so and this is part of the reason why I want to bring it up is I don't think it really happened, but can't we like learn from that story? Like, isn't
100%.
Isn't the story have some truth in it? You think like it can help us?
Oh yeah, I mean it just puts in perspective like the whole fact that they replaced 5 monkeys and now they're doing the thing that originally there was a reason they were doing, and now none of them know anything. They're just doing it.
Yeah.
And so like being a psychology man, like what's the explanation for it? Is it just simply we're followers, we aren't confident, we think someone knows more? Like why do we do that?
Well, I'm not like, dude, I remember, so I graduated from Dixie State with my psychology degree, and I go right into teaching. Like I'm teaching high school the next year, dude, and I'm teaching AP Psych. And dude, like I was a college basketball player, and what I mean by that is C's get degrees. I just wanted to play ball. And honestly, I never really thought too hard about what I was going to do when my basketball career ended, because basketball was my whole life, dude.
Right.
So I remember I'm teaching these psychology classes. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like teaching about the famous psychologist. Like, who is this guy? I don't even know. I don't even remember. I'm like just faking it till you make it type of thing. So I'm not like, I could be wrong, but it helps you survive. Like if you go with the crowd it increases your chances of survival, which
Yeah.
is what you're programmed to do. I was like, the number one thing you're programmed to do is survive.
Right. Right.
And so if you go with the group, if you go with the herd, if you stay close, you're safer, right? Like fish, if you stay in the school of fish,
Right.
your chances of survival go way up. So that's obviously part of it. And obviously that ties into the we is greater than me thing that we're a big fan of at 1090. Like that's a core part of our message is, hey, like you following the herd, following the group, it's not bad all the time. It's necessary. It's even good. You need to do that. And humans, like, we're programmed to be a part of something. Like we're programmed to seek a relationship, friends, a group. Like we crave it. We need it.
Right.
So, and okay, so let's bring in the zebra one because I think it kind of fits in here.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about the zebra one and the stripes? Because it's a good balance of, yeah, you want to follow the crowd, but you don't want to lose your individuality and your own individual thought process
Right.
either. So it's like this, it's the ultimate yin and yang, the we and the me and how we balance that out.
Right. So zebra, you know, in a similar story there's a group of zebra. Obviously, they all look the same, the white, black stripes. And a similar experiment, they paint like a, I don't know, spray,
I
whatever.
think this was a real
This
experiment.
one, I think, was. Because I've
And
heard this.
It's interesting about the camouflage because back to the group, if the zebra is alone, the stripes don't help him out that well.
Right.
But if the zebra's in the herd, the stripes and all
It's
the
just blocking
zebras,
everything.
it like these lions, they can't focus on one zebra.
Right.
And so if the zebras stay together with the stripes, it throws these lions off. They can't concentrate.
And again, that goes to the we, like the
Right.
we over me. And so this experiment is they put like a red paint or red circle on one of the zebra, basically saying, all right, you're all in a group, but this poor guy here, you're getting a red dot on
Yeah.
you, which is going to make you extremely visible.
Which is exactly these lions, they lock in on the red dot.
Right.
That zebra is toast.
Yes.
Done.
And he can try to stay with the group. He can whatever. But the fact is, he's now different. He's been locked onto. The lions are able to pick him out of a crowd. And I think, I don't know. I took a lot from that. You know, the first is, have you ever been like part of a group where you're trying to be in the group, like you just like, oh my gosh, I'm not, this is not
Yeah.
for me. This is like,
Like, guys, I'm really trying, but I don't.
this is not going to work for me. And I just think like I just picked that zebra. It's like, hey guys, what's going on? Just hanging out and then just getting roughed up.
Well, like, dude, and well, it's true in life as humans. Like, if you stray from your group, like, you get attacked, like in a different way, not by a lion.
Sure.
But you're gonna get attacked, man, for thinking different and try to be different. And in some ways, it's similar to like that lion coming after
Right.
you.
Well, and have you ever been like I would say I don't even know how to, what, I know there's probably a professional term for it, but like you're kind of different in certain groups. Like you're going to act and talk differently probably to like at work than you would me and you going to lunch. Not necessarily like extremely change our views and beliefs and core thoughts, but like probably not going to go in there and be as you're not going to go to your psych class and discuss some of the things we discuss. But then you go to church and you're going to be different there. And then you go to family dinner and you're different there. And you get around all these different groups and you start to conform to like that group, which I've always wondered, like, all right, how similar or how different am I between, if I lined up all my groups, I say, okay, I'm this way with this, how similar am I? Or would each group be like, oh, that's the Sam you know? Like, that's not who I know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I wonder, like, I think overall I try to do a pretty good job, but like, it's interesting how you just naturally, without even thinking, just start to conform. And I think that goes back to the monkeys. Like, without even thinking, we're going to beat this monkey
Yeah.
for going up the ladder.
Because I've fallen in love with just going against the grain.
Sure.
Even if I don't believe in it. Like, I'll just take the other side of the argument just to piss the other person
Right.
off type of thing.
Right.
And so it's just a weird, the zebra thing is so good because you need individuality and we need people
Right.
to have the courage to think different and leave the group sometimes.
Right.
That's how changes are made, and that's how we move forward as civilization, as humanity. That's how we learn and grow. There are different ideas, and if we just conform all the time, it's hard to grow. It's hard to get out of the box.
Right.
But then it's like sometimes you're wrong and the group is right. Like, and it like
I'm not doing in the group.
dude,
I'm not going to do it.
life's so brutal, dude.
Yeah.
It is so brutal. It's like you're never really right. Like you're done.
Like, is there
Kinda.
ever really a right answer?
I don't know if
'Cause
there's-
everyone views everything differently.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you know, it's not right to kill someone.
But it is in self-defense if you're going
Right?
to war.
Like it's just everything is just. Well, you're not supposed to do that. Well, you can if this. There's
Yeah.
always an if.
And
or
that's
a
why,
but.
that's why Stoicism, right? Because Stoicism shows you like most things in your life are just indifferent.
Right.
It's not good or bad.
Right.
Some things are, but it's actually very few things. Most things are just. And Nietzsche has a famous psychologist. He has a quote. I'll probably butcher it, but he has a quote that says, "There's no facts, only opinions."
Okay.
And there's a lot. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the balance of we and me, man, that's a tough one. But I don't want to maybe switch gears too soon, but I love this thought of back to the 5 monkey thing not being a real story. I love that kind of. Because I don't think it has to be a legit true story to be true in the sense that it can improve your life.
For sure. For sure.
And I was reading the story of Job recently.
Uh-huh.
You familiar with Job?
Oh yeah.
So a lot of scholars don't believe Job was an actual person.
Okay.
They think it was just a story.
Okay.
And okay, like big deal. But I was reading the story of Job, and I just want to talk about a couple of things that I just kind of put in my notes.
So give the people a little background on Job who may not be aware of Job.
Okay. Well, there's 3 books in the Bible known as like the wisdom books. And those 3 books are Proverbs. And Proverbs is basically like the mentality that God is fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're righteous and you obey, you get blessed.
Right.
And if you're wicked, you get punished.
Right.
Life is fair type of thing. And then Ecclesiastes, his book, he comes in and he's like, you know what? Actually, like, good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. And I don't think life is fair. Right. I don't think God is fair. And then, so you get the scriptures like the rain falls on the just and the unjust.
Sure.
Like it swings both ways, man.
Right.
So those are like the two compete. Like, so one thinks God is this just being, and if you want to live a happy life, just obey God and he'll bless you.
Right.
And if you don't have a happy, blessed life, you must have screwed up somewhere.
Right.
And and then Ecclesiastes is like, no, it's not fair. So then the third book in the wisdom literature is the book of Job. And the book of Job kind of answers, or at least tries to answer, like these two competing thoughts. Like, is God just,
right,
or is God not just? And keep in mind, I don't even know if this is a true story, like the 5 monkey
right.
thing. But there's so much truth. Like, I'm crying reading the story of Job. So the story of Job is taking place like in like this council in the heavens, basically, and God's there, and God's talking about how cool he is and all these righteous people. And then this guy, Satan, right?
I like that.
Hey, I don't make the languages, man. That's so Satan, right? Obviously, this is Satan, but Satan stands for disagreeing with or oppose, one who opposes, something like that. So Satan, he gets up there and he's like, you know, like this Job guy that you're talking about, he has the good life. Like, he has a great family. He had like 700 sheep, bunch of he had all the animals, all the property. He had the family, the way he had everything.
Yeah, he's not impressed by Job. Right?
Yeah. And Satan's like, he's just like cheating the system. Like, he's just obeying you so he can get blessed.
Right.
He's like, I bet you if you took everything away, or if you let me punish him, he'll curse you. He won't follow you anymore.
Right.
And so, so God's this loving God, and so he allows this experiment to happen, because that makes perfect sense. So he's like, yeah, I'll let you punish Job. Like, why not? Let's kick back and see what happens. It's like flipping through a TV show. Like, this episode of Job. So God and Satan are like, all right, Job, like, F this guy. So Satan goes down and, like, wipes out his kids. Mm-hmm. I think he had 7 sons and 3 daughters.
Okay.
Anyway, kills his kids. He loses his animals. His property burns. And then he gets boils everywhere.
Yeah, Job getting thrown through the ringer here. Yeah.
And what does Job do?
He still gives thanks and praises God.
For the first couple chapters, yeah, he's like,
and then he starts to wonder, like,
he's like, I'm with you, God.
What have I done here?
And then chapter 3, Job loses it, and he writes this poem of his misery, and he curses it. The whole poem is basically him cursing the day he was born. Like, he just like, why was I born? Why did you do this? I should never have been born, because that's how bad I hate this. It's awful.
Right.
And then, and so like he's pretty mad. And then his friends come. And remember, like, the 3 books of wisdom in the Bible. Right. The first one, Proverbs, where God is fair, God is just. And so Job's friends show up, and they have a very proverbial, I don't know if that word makes sense, but they have like this viewpoint of Proverbs, like God is fair. And so his friends tell Job it's his fault.
Job, you're like, really messed up here, bud.
You must have done something. And they don't stop there. They start throwing out guesses. Like, maybe Job did this. And it's weird, because I've had that with my experience.
Right.
Like, the car accident happened on a Sunday. So I've had people like, shouldn't have been driving on a Sunday. And like other things, right. Like what, like there's people in my life that have a very literal view of God in the scriptures, like Proverbs. Sure. And they're like, they must have done something. And like, I grew up in the LDS faith, and people asked about garments. Like, were they wearing garments? Like, if they were wearing garments, maybe they would have been okay.
Right.
And like, I could go down the list.
Right.
Just strange, bizarre things. But it's just like Job's friends, like the God they know is one way. What happened to their friend? There's this big cognitive dissonance. This doesn't make sense. So either we're wrong about God, or Job did something. And we can't be wrong about God, so Job did something. And so they're just thrown out. These are his friends, dude. And even in the scriptures say it. God tells it to Satan. Job doesn't deserve any of this. He doesn't deserve any. We're just doing a guinea pig experiment on this dude for our entertainment. But Job doesn't deserve any of this. He didn't do anything wrong, but his friends were like, I don't know, man. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine Job. So Job's getting through that. And again, I don't even know if this is a true story.
Sure.
But there's so much truth to it. So Job keeps going, and he wants answers from God. He's like, you got to explain this to me. So God appears to Job in like a cloud. And he kind of takes Job. You know, what's that Christmas movie, Mr. Scrooge, where the angels taking him around? Is that the one where the angels taking him around?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So he's kind of showing Job the universe.
Okay.
And he's like, dude, the universe is so crazy wild. So much detail, so much precision. Like, you don't know the slightest thing about anything, Job.
Right.
Like, you're only seeing a piece of a piece of a piece of the puzzle that I can see.
Right.
And he's like, you couldn't run the universe for 1 hour, one day. You couldn't do it. You have no idea what's going on.
Right.
So he's trying to tell Job, like, like, just trust me. Like, it's gonna fit. It's gonna work. You just don't get it. And
Right.
you just gotta have faith in me, right? And then God, like, he talks about these two crazy beasts that he created and talks about how powerful they are and how, like, they can just tear you to shreds in seconds. Like, they will kill you in their sleep. And he talks about how these beasts are so dangerous, but also beautiful and part of his beautiful plan. And then God just it fizzles out. God just kind of leaves it at that. Like, I'm just going to let you take that for like, I'm not going to explain it any more than that. And so then Job goes through this thing of repentance, and he eventually gets to this perspective of, okay, I'm going to trust in God then and his plan. And it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to have faith that it makes sense in the grand scheme of things, which is great. And then, and there's a scripture, and it hit me pretty hard, and I don't know word for word or where it's at in the story of Job. There's like a lot of chapters, but Job says something to the effect of, God gave me everything, so he could take it away. And Job kind of had this perspective of, listen, if I'm grateful enough to be here and I'm grateful enough to get all the stuff I get from this guy, I can't be too mad at him if he takes it away. Like, God gives and God taketh away. And it was just like this interesting, and I believe that too, with what happened with me and my stuff. I mean, I don't think there's I don't believe in a God that intervenes. So I don't believe in an interventional God. So I have a different twist on it, but I have the same mindset of Job is like, listen, do you have, and Sam, like, it's crazy the chances of us just being alive right now. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy the opportunity we get to do what we get to do every day.
Right.
And so the fact that I got to have what I had with Courtney since we were 15, including 8 years of marriage, 3 kids, what I was able to have with Riggins, what I was able to have with Frankie, what I was able to have with Race, what Race was able to have with his son Ryder, and his, like, there's a lot to be grateful for.
Right.
There just is. And then the story ends. There's a couple parts, because remember, I don't think this is an actual story. This is just one of the wisdom chapters in the Bible to help us learn. But Job always talks about how his days fly by. And I'm not a believer, Job. If you lose your kids, your days are not flying by. They're not, dude. They are not flying by. And it's weird because the months and the year, those kind of fly by. Like, oh, it's been a year? Like, what?
Right.
That's weird. But the days, dude, they're long days, man.
Right.
And then at the end, then this is how I know this story is bullshit. At the end, Job gets everything back twofold. And this drives me nuts because if you ever lost a kid, you can't get
like, even if you have more kids,
yeah. What?
Yeah.
I get 2 Courtneys now? What? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to me. He can have a whole new family. And it says that in the Bible. The Bible says, like, his new kids, right? When he got everything back, his new kids it says his daughters were the fairest in the land. They were the prettiest in the land. And, dude, like, that's not how it works, man. Right. You don't just get kids and the pain of the old kids go away. You kidding me? Or you just get a new relationship and the pain of Courtney goes away. Are you kidding me? Right. That's not how it works at all.
Right.
So the fact that this terrible story of Job has this weird happy ending that we're supposed to, like, believe in, like, hey, if you're going to get it, like,
And you're
like,
not saying,
dude, what?
and the story's not saying, and you're not saying that like you can't have, like you can have another relationship. You can have kids. You can, get things not necessarily back, but you can get those things again.
Right.
And you can be happy about those things, but it doesn't mean that, oh yeah, I'm not sad anymore about the other stuff. It's like, you can be both. Like you can be happy, you can be in a new relationship and be so happy, but it doesn't mean like, oh yeah, I'm good. No, that old relationship I'm over with. That's done.
Yeah. And I think, and again, like the 5 monkey thing reminded me of it because I don't think this story of Job has helped me a lot, dude. It's helped me a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's true, but I think it's true in a different way. I think it's true in the sense that it can help your life. And I think a lot of things in our lives are like that. And then the other thing I don't particularly love about the story of Job is like there wasn't a whole, like, dude, I can't do this alone. Like I need help. I need people. Like the we is greater than me. And that's something that I didn't like about the story of Job. And honestly, that's one thing I struggle with the stoicism thing too. Stoicism is great, but it's very like individualistic.
Right.
Like I want to be with my family again. Like I want to see him again. And stoicism doesn't really worry about any of that stuff. It just worries about what you can control in the moment with gaining knowledge and then using that knowledge to go through the other things of stoicism. But dude, so back to this concept of we is like, Job did a lot of that stuff alone, and he did not just alone, but so his wife basically abandoned him and God, right? So the wife's cursing God, and then his friends abandoned. Like he has no
right. He's trying to battle this all by himself.
That's another red flag. I don't think this story's legit, man. Like no, like you need a friend, you need a therapist, you need something, right. And it goes back to those zebras. Like I do feel trauma is boom. Red circle on your hip.
Sure.
Like you're in trouble.
Right.
And you need to get that red paint off. You need to get with the group of zebras. If not, that lion you're done.
Right.
And I think if we want to try to, this might be quite a stretch now of how we're trying to tie this into everything, but I don't know, like mental illness, depressions, those suicide thoughts, it's kind of like that red dot. Boom, red dot. Right. And I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be a cow. Don't follow the herd. Think for yourself. But be careful. You need other people. You got to be a part of something.
Right.
You got to be a part of something.
And that's a hard balance to be your own person, but live amongst friends, family, health.
It's hard, man.
So let me ask you this. Why is it, and maybe this is a stupid question, it seems like people only ever, like, you didn't go to therapy until you experienced a situation. You don't,
until I got a red dot on my hip.
So there's a song by a man named Jelly Roll. Strange song.
I know, I've heard that name, and someone sent me this song. It's a good song.
Yeah, and the main part, he said, I only talk to God when I need a favor, and I only say a prayer when I don't have a prayer. So those lyrics, that's like the main chorus part. So I only talk to God when I need a favor. I only say a prayer when I don't have a prayer. Mm-hmm. And then I think, like, why is it that it's always like, oh crap, I'm in trouble, I gotta say a prayer. Or, oh crap, I don't feel good, I'm going to go to the doctor. And it's like in your head, it's like these are like, well, yeah, I'm not going to go to the doctor, but I feel great. But like why is it that we wait until things are bad to reach out for help? Like we need help all the time. Are there preventatives? Are there things we can be doing the whole time? Like it just seems like people wait till not even the last second, but until things get bad. And then they're like open to help and open to suggestions and opinions, but until things go bad, they're like, I'm my own man. I can do this all by myself.
Well, failure and losing, it humbles you.
Yeah.
So that's part of it.
Yeah.
And then I do think we just kind of have this culture of, and we've talked about it before, And I love the quote that we kind of stumbled upon. The thief of grief is comparison.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of, especially guys, like, because being a guy is just part of being tough and stoic, and you don't want to appear weak. And I think we just kind of mentally like, oh, I have it bad, but it's not as bad as him, so no one's gonna care.
Right.
And we just don't talk about it because we do like this weird, because we do that with everything. We do that with everything in our lives. And we do the same thing with our trauma and the demons that we're dealing with is, I think, do you think that's part of it? I think that might be part of it. And
Yeah,
it's
do.
just scary. It's just, you appear weak
Yeah.
and stupid, and it's embarrassing to ask for help. And I did that yesterday. I was really struggling yesterday. And I eventually like reached out to Jordan Marsh. I'm like, hey, I need help. Can you guys come watch Blue for a little bit? I just need to cry, and like, I just need a moment here. And they're like, yeah, boom. And it was hard, man. It was hard for me to send that text. I'm like, and the thoughts going through my mind where I don't want to appear weak. This was the number one thought I had in my head yesterday when I was scared to ask for help was, I don't want them to think that I'm being inconsiderate of them because I know they're also hurting.
Sure.
Because I'm asking Courtney's sister, Jordan, right, for help, who she's going through a bunch of shit too.
Right.
Like, and Courtney's mom, who's going through a bunch of shit too. And so I'm like, I don't want to seem inconsiderate because I know you're hurting. And so how dare I ask you for help? And I don't want you to think that I don't know that you're hurting.
Right.
And so like, I'm just not going to
Which
ask
then
for help
adds to the hurt for you.
Yeah. And then,
Like,
and then it's weird because when I don't ask for help, I'm like, no one cares. No one effing cares. How do you not care? They do care. I just got to ask for
Right.
help.
it's hard because how many people have told you or you've heard about like, please let me know if you need anything.
That's
what can I do?
90% of the time when people reach out to me, that's how they end it.
But it's like,
And I will never reach out to them because I don't want to ruin their day.
right.
I don't want to.
Well, it's like, do they really know what they're offering? Like the type of help you want or would ever ask for? Is that what they're even talking about? Like,
I think some of them are, and some of them is just something that you say, and
Yeah.
and which is fine. I'm not.
Sure.
It's just like it's brutal, man. It's
Yeah.
brutal, dude. There's this 18-year-old kid messages me like, I want to kill myself. What do I do? And so I click on this kid's profile, and he's shredded. He's a handsome, good-looking 18-year-old kid. I'm sure he can get
whatever he wants. Yeah.
any pretty lady. You look at this kid's profile,
Right.
you never would think that ever. You never would have that thought like this kid wants to kill himself.
Right.
And it's so sad. And I'm like, dude, and what I wanted to say to the kid was, dude, you're 18, your life hasn't even started. Like, that's what I wanted to say. Like, dude, just give it a couple. You're so young. How does an 18-year-old kid have that thought? It is so sad, dude.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Well, and it just shows you, like, I mean, we talk a lot about not comparing. And again, I think that, like you said, I can't remember the exact quote you shared, but like that is the enemy of ever. Like you just compare, but like you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what it's like, knock on wood, to lose my wife and kids in a car accident.
Yeah.
But I've experienced other things that in my experiences have been hard. Other people have lost businesses. They've lost family members. They've lost money, whatever it is. And to them, that's like the hardest, like that's all they know. That's their hardest thing.
Yeah. And isn't it more similar that we've both been pushed to the max of our pain?
You just know different, Matt.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get that mentality of like, oh, I lost my business, but I still got my family. And so like I would rather have this. And it's like, that can be unhealthy big time because that I think is what contributes to people not asking for help. You know what I mean? Like,
and the other thing is when I help people, I feel really good. I feel like I have purpose.
Sure.
And it makes me want to stick around for a long time.
Sure.
And so I also have the thought, well, if I ask, let's use Jordan and Marsh again as an example. And I was asking them yesterday for help. So when I ask them for help, I do feel like there's part of them that they now feel good because they get to see Blue, because they love Blue.
Right.
They get to see Blue. They feel like they're helping Blue and me.
Right.
I'm sure that helps them with their pain to some degree. But then there's another part of me that's just scared to ask for it. And and then like Sam, dude, like messages, it comes in waves sometimes. It's weird. Like I won't get a lot of messages, a couple days, and then one day, for whatever reason, like boom.
Right.
And like lately, a bunch of people are reaching out to me about like suicide. Like they're done, dude. Like they're done. And they have like legit stories. And it's like, part of me is like, maybe you should. This is not good.
Right. Right.
Like, I don't know.
Well, so,
But like, what do I tell? I don't know what to say to them.
well,
I usually just ask them a bunch of questions because I don't.
and maybe
I'm
that's all they
scared to
need.
give them advice.
Maybe that's what they need, though, is someone to talk to them, someone to ask them questions. And you're someone that they don't know, but they can kind of, in a roundabout way, relate because you're going through an experience and they just want someone to listen and they don't feel comfortable going to a mom, a dad, a sibling, a friend, whatever. And so it's like, hey, this guy's hurting. I'll talk to him because he gets it.
Yeah. So
let me share this. So I used to like laugh. So my wife, she's great, but she's yeah. So this do you remember Robin Williams? Remember Robin Williams?
do I remember Robin Williams?
Everyone remembers Robin Williams, right?
Yeah, I remember Robin.
So I think it was like, I don't know, what, 5-6 years ago he committed suicide.
Hold on, real quick. Let's not take too much time. Give me a couple Robin Williams. Like, what are some of your favorite ones?
Patch Adams,
Patch Adams is classic. He's got some good lines in there.
Flubber.
I was gonna, dude. I watched Flubber at least once a week as a kid.
Yeah.
Like,
Flubber
I want
was
some
great.
Flubber, Mom. Make me dunk a basketball. What about Dead Poet Society? We got to have Goodwill Hunting in there
Yes.
for sure. Aladdin.
Yes.
You kidding me? Aladdin.
Yeah. I mean, he's got some films.
I feel like we're missing a bunch.
Miss Doubtfire?
Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello. And the mask is dropping in her teeth. Just an extra drop right there.
So, I mean, we just listed several movies and we laughed about all of them.
Yeah. this
So
guy-
my wife, Robin Williams committed suicide.
Yeah.
And my wife, one day, I'm telling her we're talking about this. She goes, "That's so weird. He always seems so happy." And I immediately thought, like, yes,
That's how
Yes,
it isn't that everyone that
yes.
kills themselves, they seem happy, I think.
yes. And then I used to like laugh and think like, oh my gosh, like he's a comedy actor. He's in these films. Of course he seemed happy. Like
Yeah.
he's not that happy, obviously. But then I like actually like started thinking it's like, it's actually really sad that like no one knew Robin Williams, who just, you think of him,
He knows-
movies, laughter, humor, and he had such a hard thing going on that he literally killed himself. He had money, fame, recognition, family, everything you would want in a life, on a checklist life. And but he was hurting and no one knew it because he always just was funny.
And I think I think part of his mental illness is a legit thing.
Yeah.
It is a physical thing. It's
Yes.
not just anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that, and listen, like I've never been legit close to taking my own life.
Right.
Like not really. Like not gun to my head, like shaking, like ugh. It's like no.
Right.
And that's because of Blue and how much I love him and yeah, I could talk about Blue. But one thing that I know is you do have these, and for me, they're getting few and further in between them, but you hit these really rough patches, dude, of really dark, just really dark
Sure.
thoughts. And I don't know this, but just a thought I've had is, I think a lot of people who take their own lives, I think it's when they stumble upon these really hard moments. And if they can just get through that hour or through that night or through
Right.
that day, then they're kind of good again until they hit that next rough patch. And I think a lot of people, when they're in those darkest moments,
Right.
they need to get out of that moment. They need a text message. They need someone to show up. They need
Well, it makes you wonder. Like,
well, that's just from my experience. When I've run into those dark moments, it's like but once I'm through that dark moment, it does get better.
Sure.
And then it hits you again later again. But I think, man, especially when these young kids, because when you're in that moment, Sam, because what does everyone say when someone kills themselves? Like, what? I did not. And I think a part of them doesn't want to do it or doesn't think they'll do it either. But when they're in those moments and maybe they had a little bit too much to drink or maybe they're popping pills, and then you have all these dark thoughts, it seems not just rational, but it seems like
this is the right thing to do.
This is the right thing to do for me and for everyone else. Like, if I'm done, the world will be better. Like, it is not good.
Well, and like and it's hard because, I mean, if there is ever a reason to do that, you've checked the box.
Thanks, man.
It's a good accomplishment for you. But like, you haven't done it. And so it makes you think, like, and not to say that these people who have done it are hurting any more or any less than you, but like, it just paints that picture of like how dark a place they're in, or how their mind has tricked them so badly. Like you just said, that like they come to that rational, like, this is the best, this is great, I'm going to do it. This is going to solve all the issues. And it makes you appreciate, like, not appreciate, I mean, that sounds like a celebration word, but like, it makes you truly like think like, man, that must have been an extremely dark, hard place to be in mentally for them to actually go through or even try to go through with.
And it's just sad because it's just a few hours sometimes, or it's just a day. And if you can just get through it, man. Yeah. But hold on. Okay, because I did lose a lot. And so you said, you have every right to do it. Okay, I get that. But I have blue.
Right.
A lot of people with they don't have a blue. Mm-hmm. They don't. So, like, I appreciate the compliment, but, like, I have something a lot of people don't have.
Right.
I have an incredible son that I love more than anything, more than me, more than anything.
Right.
That's a reason to keep going. That's a very powerful reason. And then what I've learned doing the 1090 thing with you and Ryan is we always use the metaphor of going into the storm.
Right.
And we've talked about there's blessings if you do that.
Right.
Like these buffalo, when they head into the storm, they get a lot of good out of it. They get the fresh grass and they get to relax while the cows are running away in misery. And one thing that the cows' mentality has given me as I head into the storms and I face my demons is I found something, and that's purpose. Right. I found purpose in my pain, and sharing that pain with other people has really, really helped me. So it started with blue, and then it kind of grew into the 1090 thing as well. So now I have blue and 1090. So I have a really terrible story, but what I found with that is I have a really strong purpose, and purpose is like the number one thing people need if they're dealing with suicide thing. They need something to do. They need a purpose. They want to help other people. So that's...
Well, so and this is what I struggle with still, is I hate that and we've talked about this a number of times, and it's kind of like that song, Reverend, we were talking about earlier.
It takes like the shitty...
Yeah, and it's like there would be no question before the accident, you loved your kids, you loved your wife more than anything, more than life. Like, that was known. But I don't know. I mean, you and I, we've been close forever, but I think I've heard you tell me more about how much you love Blue, how much you care for Blue and would do anything for Blue more in the last year and a half than I did the last 8 years of you telling me how much you loved your family. Not to say you didn't tell me, but like, why is it that it takes that people finally, and you have seen like the bigger picture, like you get it, like you have Blue. And why does it take something so bad for people?
Well, you gotta, if you want people to follow you, it's because I went through hell. Listen, dude, like, me and you don't say anything cool like that cool. It's not like the 1090 quote's not our quote. It was said by a bunch of different people. There's 10 different versions of it. We didn't create it.
No.
We're not saying anything new.
Right.
The only reason people listen to anything I have to say is it's attached to a really sad story. people wouldn't give two shits if I stood up there and gave them the buffalo analogy, and then I showed them a picture of my living family. That's perfectly fine. No one would care. No,
Right.
It just comes with the territory,
Yeah.
dude. I don't know, but that's just how it is. But Sam, would you want to listen to would you want to go listen to a motivational speaker who had the good life his whole life? I mean, I'm sure there's speakers out there like that, but like it doesn't resonate the same.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've learned is what is said is one thing, but who said what is said? That's when it gets powerful. That's when shit gets real.
For sure. Well, and this is something I was going to bring up, just side conversation with you, not even on the podcast, but I think it's so cool about the idea of like persevering, going through hard things. So I don't necessarily like John Wooden, but I like a lot of his quotes. So maybe I do like John Wooden, but John Wooden, okay?
You know, I'm with you with John Wooden. Like he comes out with all these cool quotes, like winning's not everything. Like he said that after he won 7 national champions. Like, give me a break, John. So it's easy to say that when you're the most winningest coach ever. You just won 7 in a row.
So this is where I'm going with this.
It's like the rich guys, like money's not important. It's like, well, give me your money then. Well,
no, I can't do that.
It's kind of important. Like, okay, shut up then.
But like, so I think about that. I've been reading about John. It took John 10 years of losing seasons, no championships before he won his first championship. So you think of John Wooden now, great coach, wins. But like, imagine if he quit after like, you know what, I suck. I can't get this done. I'm done after like 6 years. And then he misses out on all this stuff that if he would have just got better, tried, improved.
No one would read one John Wooden quote if he had 10 losing seasons.
No one talks about the losing seasons.
Let me tell you something about basketball and coaching.
I thought you were about to say, let me tell you something about John Wooden.
Let me tell you something about John Wooden. So one thing about coaching is the number one thing that makes a good coach is really good basketball players.
Right.
And that's just the honest to God truth. Like, look at Greg Popovich. Best coach ever, and now
I hate Greg Popovich.
No, Greg Popovich lost his wife a few years ago.
I know.
He's still
that's why I
on.
have a sad soft spot.
I thought you were going to say that's why I hate him. I'm like, geez, bro. But no, there's truth to that. So like the John Wooden thing, he didn't win, and then you ever heard of Luau Sindor? AKA Kareem. Kareem comes in, and then he gets Bill Walton.
Yeah.
And then he looked pretty good after that. Yeah, dude. Good players make a good coach. The difference between these coaches in the NBA and college are very just even in terms of IQ and like it's players, dude. And I hate the coaches. The coaches that like, look at this play that I made up, and they show you, like they send it to you. It's like, dude, send me the 80 other times where it doesn't work. But no, it's just it's players, dude. Players like Greg Popovich is still just as good of a coach. He just doesn't have any players.
Yeah, like Steve Kerr.
You kidding me?
He has Derek Fisher to thank for his career. Phil Jackson tried to get Kerr and Fisher to be the coach of the Knicks, and Fisher took the Knicks job, and so Kerr took the Warriors job.
I think Blue could have coached those Warrior teams to a couple of rings, a couple of those years.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Kerr, like what? Okay. Anyway, back to suicide.
Real quick, I'm down on Steve Kerr. He missed more than half of 2 separate seasons because his back hurt. Who misses half a season as a coach because he had a sore back?
Yeah.
And then the coaches that, like his assistants, went like 50-2 while
Luke
he was
Wallen,
gone.
Bill Wallen's son. Look at that. We tied it all in together. It's like a Family Guy episode. Like, we made it work.
Anyways, back to suicide.
Yeah, back to killing yourself. Okay. Okay, should we start wrapping it up? Maybe?
Yeah, we probably should wrap it up. We're in a good,
Hold on,
good spot.
All right. Should we just, how should we end it?
Well, do you have another thought? Give us a thought.
Well, like,
just don't do, I can't go down a rabbit hole, but take us down.
Well, people reach out to me about the suicide thing. Oh, okay. Let me just give you a little context. So I watched these, I think they're on YouTube. I watch these clips of this religious guy. He loves God and stuff.
Olstein?
No. What? Why are you so random?
I had to throw it in there. This religious guy on TV. He's talking.
No, he like this. I don't even know his name, but he makes entertaining videos. So he like goes to college campuses and he asks like these young 20-year-old college students like, do you like, because less and less people are believing in God and Christianity and aren't like it's dropping. And so this guy's doing a good thing. He's like, hey, Jesus is real. And so he gets in these arguments with these kids and he makes them look dumb, but he brings up like philosophers like Nietzsche and a lot of these atheist philosophers. And he says, if these guys are right, meaning if this is all we get, like this one life on earth is it, and then we're done. He's like, why not just end it right now? And he's like, and the guy, he says a lot of these philosophers even ask the question, like, why not just kill yourself right now? And so he asks the students that he's arguing with, he asks them that, like, if that's what you believe, then what's keeping you, like, why not just end it? And he makes them look dumb and stuff. But like, okay. And Sam, we're just talking like buddy to buddy here.
Sure.
Just help me figure this out. But the thought of, because we have all these options on the table, like God and reincarnation or agnostic or atheism or whatever. There's a million things.
Right.
We have all these options on the table what to believe in. And the option on the table of this is it. You get one life. That's one of the options that makes me want to stay here for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So am I just, because he asked that question to these kids, and I just want to ask him, I just want to tell the guy, like, actually, that mindset really helps me.
Right.
If I thought there was a place after this, I'd be more likely to put a bullet in my head, I think.
Sure.
But listen, I was playing catch with Blue yesterday, and so we're just throwing it back and forth. We're trying to get to 100.
Okay.
Our record's 51.
Okay.
And he gets so excited, right? And then we drop the ball. It's no, like we were at 40 or we were at whatever it is, 51. And it's fun. It's a fun game. And then I tell him, all right, Blue, this is our last chance to get to 100.
Okay.
And the game is 1,000 times better all of a sudden. Every throw matters.
Right.
We're locked in. And it is like, if you almost drop, it's like, whoa.
Right.
Whoa. Yeah. And then like you tip it or a good catch. Oh, we're still like, it is insanely.
Right.
It is way better. Not even close. And I think it's really that simple with your life. Like, I think the idea of this might be all you get, I think that's the most beautiful option on the table out of all of them.
Right.
And I think it's why rock climbers, some of them choose to climb without a rope. I totally get it. Do you know how much better that climb would be? Also much more terrifying. But like, dude, when I got that phone call, all right, never mind. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. We're going to stay here. But there's beauty in that idea. But I think that weird thing is this idea of this is all we get. I think it's so polarizing. Like, it's just like some people love it and it can really help them. And then I think other people are like what this guy in these videos I'm talking about is trying to get at is it can be very dark and it can just, people will just start offing themselves because if this is all we get, nothing matters ever, which is true. So why not just end it?
Right.
I think it's very polarizing. So it's weird, Sam, because like if you were to make me king of the world for a day, or if you were to make me God for, or whatever it is, like if God comes down and we're making a deal, he's like, Mason, the entire world, they can believe in Jesus and they can believe if they're a good person, they can get to heaven. We can have that idea, or we can have the idea that there's nothing. I'd probably pick the Christianity. Yeah. I think that'd be the safer bet for humanity. Like, we just need it. Like, it helps. It's good. Like, this idea that we're working towards something else.
Sure.
You need to be a good person. Like, it's so, like, we need it.
Right.
I don't know if it's true.
Sure.
But, and it goes back to the 5 monkey thing. Maybe it doesn't need to be true in the sense that it's true, but it can be true in the sense of
there's still lessons to be learned. And
Yeah, it helps you. It helps your life, helps you get through this thing.
Yeah.
But dude, I think there's beauty in death and beauty in this idea that this is all you get. And then one last thing I'll say is, I also think when I tell people, like, I think this might be all you get, I think a part of them thinks like, oh, like you're just some hedonistic, like you're just living wild. Like, no.
Right.
Because this is one thing I've learned is, let's say you have one life, this is it, and you want to achieve your best life possible, become your best self and experience all the things. Your best life isn't just chilling on a beach with a drink with sexy women walking around you all the time.
Right.
Like, if you did that every day of your life, you'd go crazy.
Right.
So, like, just because someone thinks this is all you get, that, like, working hard, waking up early, working hard, sacrificing, setting goals, failing at those goals, experiencing failure, experiencing heartbreak, that is the fullness of life, are all those things. It's only fun chilling on the beach when you've had a long day of work or you've been working up to save for it. That's why it's fun. If that's just your life, it's going to suck.
Right.
And so don't get this twisted idea that, like, it's actually a very beautiful perspective, I think. At least it is for me. But the whole reason I bring this up, Sam, is I don't want to, when people reach out to me, I want to kill myself. I don't dare tell them that. Like, hey, this is your only, I feel like I'd increase their chances of suicide. Or am I wrong? What do you think? Because that's honestly
but I think that could
that mindset is one that really helps me. But I feel like if I communicate it with them, they might take it the wrong way, and I might, you know what I mean?
See, I think the opposite. I think if you explain, like, look, you don't want to do this. Like, this is all you've got. This life's it. Like, you don't want to call it a career at 18.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would give them maybe even though they surely think that as well, they need someone who's in your shoes to tell them that. Like, look, this isn't how it has to go. Like, you don't need to do that. Life's hard, but this is it. Like, it's lights out for you if you do this, and we're not going to do that right now. And I think that would actually help them.
Because I do too. Because from my perspective, I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all.
Sure.
Like, give me something.
Sure.
So I don't know. I think there's just some thoughts I had, but we can be done now.
Yeah. No, I think we covered some good ground today.
Don't kill yourself.
Well, I want to end talking about the worst sport to watch on TV. You're flipping through the station, and it's sports channels only. What sport
You
are
like
you
offending people, I think.
absolutely not stopping on? And for the record, like, darts is not a sport. We're not watching darts. Like,
Whoa, wait. It could be darts, right?
no.
Why can't I pick darts?
Because darts is not a sport.
Well, I don't think golf's a sport. Is golf an option?
Golf is a sport, and that is my selection.
Why is golf a sport? You don't even have, it requires no athletic ability.
Oh.
And you're not even competing against the guy that wins could have golfed the day before you or 8 holes over. You don't even know. There's nothing you can do to stop the guy.
I think that's what bugs me about golf.
It's not a sport is competition. If you can't alter your opponent, it's just it's a competition.
Like, aside from Tiger Woods, who I think only gained
Ryan,
popularity.
are you shaking your head? Ryan, do you think golf's a sport?
It's a competition.
It's a competition. This is not a sport.
Yeah.
If you hit a birdie and I am up at the next hole,
I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir, Ryan. It's Sam that doesn't get it.
See, no.
If you
no.
can't alter your opponent, how do you call that a sport?
No. So listen.
You don't even have to golf on the same whatever.
So
man.
this is why I don't like golf, though. Aside from Tiger Woods, who I think became popular 50% because of his name.
What?
Like, Tiger's won X amount of championships.
Tiger won. Tiger's
I know,
a winner.
So take Tiger
no one
out
cares
of it.
about his name.
So take Tiger out of it. There's like a new number 1 world golfer every day. Like, you can't be the best golfer unless you're Tiger. Like, the NFL, you can list the 5 or 6 best players every year. NBA, you can list the 5 or 6 best players every year. Golf, it's like, oh, this guy won the championship today, and that guy hasn't won since 15 years ago, and he all of a sudden won again.
And I
saw some jerk picking up a ball out of a hole yesterday, and he like picked it up and he held it up, And he's just looking around like he is the great. The flag's blowing in the wind. The crowd's golf clapping. And I'm just thinking, like, this is the most offensive thing I've seen to start my week. I'm done. I'm not watching golf. I don't like golf.
Well, hey, we agreed on something.
Yeah. No.
I'll go-
What sport for you?
The worst sport to watch. I'm going to go soccer.
Yeah, I can get behind you on that too.
I just don't even understand it.
What a game. It's 1-1
Yeah,
after 89 minutes.
Yeah, I'd rather watch darts. I'd rather watch bowling. I'd rather watch tennis. I'd rather watch
Anything.
golf. Oh, golf. Golf or what did I just say?
Soccer.
Golf or soccer?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
The best part. So Ryan, our guy Ryan here, he one time told me about a trip that he went on where he watched. So regular season baseball to me is brutal, but for some reason I get like excited. Like I'll tune into the playoffs and like it's a different ballgame for me.
You kidding me? Playoffs?
But regular season baseball and Ryan, he was telling me about this trip. You were there. And you would have thought this trip went on for a year. He did anything,
The Padres
everything you could do at a Padres game.
Yeah, he loved
And then, so Ryan, I bring this up because Ryan's going on a trip this week.
Oh, you're in New York, huh?
And he's going to New York to see the Yankees. And then I asked him who they played. He told me they're playing the Padres. So Ryan,
Did you plan that, Ryan?
And he didn't even plan it. He's going for round 2, trip of the year.
Ryan, worst sport to watch. Close us out, Ryan. Ryan, we need to get you a mic. Worst sport you watch on.
I hate soccer.
You're going soccer?
Soccer's the worst.
I like the penalty kick. That should just be the whole sport.
Why
take
can't you end in a tie?
8 guys off the take the goalie out.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like, what are we doing?
You want to know what's odd about soccer, though? I love
You can't
David
use
Beckham.
your hands.
I love David Beckham.
Who doesn't love David Beckham though?
See, it's so weird. Like, I hate golf, but I think Tiger's great. Hate soccer, but love David Beckham.
Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're gonna do about it.